Good evening, guys. So I was sort of flicking through my YouTube channel tonight, just seeing some of the videos, and it's made me realise I haven't done any reviews in a long time. So I thought I'd do a bit of a video on some various manufacturers and some of the bargains that can be had out there. So we're going to go through these one by one and talk through what I paid for them and where I found them and how you can go about building a die-cast collection on a budget. So the first little aircraft is this beautiful little Yak 3. So for anybody who doesn't know, they're not usually manufactured by the major brands. Yaks can be found by Oxford, Atlas in the first rendition, Atlas in the second rendition, which is this one here. And I believe XO Tire make a Yak as well with very heavy panel lines. This one I picked up for £15 off of Aviation Retail Direct at the Duxford September air show. And this is one of the ways of acquiring a die-cast collection. So the first way is really at air shows, browsing the stalls. There's great stalls at the Shuttleworth collection, and Bob Oddie is one of the great dealers out there. But they're becoming few and far between now. But Aviation Retail Direct also have a shop in Hillingdon and Heathrow. The Heathrow shop is generally airlines, as far as I'm aware anyhow, but the Hillingdon shop is full of warbirds, fighter aircraft, wooden aircraft, everything. So I really advise, if you're in that area, do pop in. It's just off of the, I think it's the M40 or A40 in northwest London, near Norfolk. But it's well worth it. The team in there are absolutely fantastic and really, really friendly. But anyway, I picked this up for £15. Just a quick talk through. Sort of the inner shell comes like that with a plastic black stand with up and down undercarriage and a small bag with the undercarriage down, in, and the undercarriage doors, which are very, very fiddly. Again, there's not masses of detail on there. I want to pick this up without it all falling to bits. You can see underneath, not a lot of panel detail. It's a very flat panelled aircraft, but it's lovely. It's very dinky, but you can imagine why the major companies wouldn't make it, because it is so small, and they'd have to sell it around about £60 a go. It sort of doesn't make any sense. So that's why the smaller companies make it. But this is a great starting point for somebody who's starting out collecting. You can get the Oxfords, which are obviously around sort of retail between £15 and £20. Second hand, you can probably get them cheaper on eBay. But also another place to look is Facebook Marketplace, and of course I know in the UK it's much more easy to get to somewhere in terms of picking it up. If you live in America or Australia, you could be talking thousands of miles, but well worth looking as well. Make sure you save your searches on there and you can get looking. But yeah, so this is the first example. This is made by Atlas in its second rendition. This wasn't a subscription to my knowledge, it was just a produced aircraft. And there's many different aircraft you can get there. You can get ME-109s, Mosquito, P-38, Focke-Wulf, including the Dora, so an A and a D, the P-51. There's quite a few in there. Again, they're not the top end of quality, but they're decent gap fillers, and like the Yak 3, not the easiest to find amongst the collection. So a really good starting point for young collectors to get into the hobby, and of course the adult collectors who want to start a specific theme, like the War in the East, for example. So the second aircraft in my little sort of cheap collection I picked up is this P-40N Warhawk, or Kitty Hawk because it's in Royal Australian Air Force markings, representing the P-40N Black Magic with the gorgeous white tail there, based at RAAF Mauritania, early 1945. So this aircraft was picked up off an online hobby shop, which was unfortunately closing. And there's not many hobby shops out now. In terms of when we were kids, you could walk into Beatties or Model Zone or a local model shop in your town centre and pick up an Airfix kit and some paint and God knows what else. They just don't exist. Everything's gone online. So unfortunately, this company shut down, and they had a 20% off sale, and it was already cheap anyhow. I think it was already cheap. So I paid 27 quid all in for this, and this usually retails when it's brand new for around about 60 quid. So if you look on eBay, that's a good way of gauging your price structure, which I'll get to in a minute. It's a really good way of looking at what you can save, and you can get the odd bargain. So this one, very similar to Atlas, comes in a plastic clamshell with the I don't know if you can see there, the all black Hobbymaster standard stand there, which falls out with a cradle in, and also, I don't know if you can see, there's a small a small silver tool which is used for pinging out the up undercarriage or down undercarriage if you put it in, which is a brilliant idea, and I wish Corgi would get involved in that, but they don't, unfortunately, and it can sometimes cause breakages. So this one here, unlike the first one, it has a removable prop, removable undercarriage up and down. Also the pilot figure comes separate, and you can actually take off the canopy and then replace it back. It doesn't have an open canopy like the old Dragon style ones, but it's a brilliant model, and of course for those who are starting, Hobbymaster are more pronounced in the jet range. They do a fantastic selection of 172 and 148 jets and World War II. Not so many jets in 148, but some more World War II now in terms of Spitfire, Hurricane, Messerschmitt, Focke-Wulf. There's other ones like Pea-Shooter, the flying barrels. I don't think I do a Hellcat. I do a Hellcat in 132 as well, but they do the Wildcat in 148. So some really gorgeous models in there. But they also do some 172 Warbirds, including this bad boy. And there's a fine selection out there. And like I said, we already touched on, this was 60 quid retail. So to buy it for 25 quid plus £2 postage was an absolute bargain. But this is where you look. You look for when you're flying Tigers, you're flying Mule if you live in the United States, or Jumblies have a sale. And that's a good opportunity then to pounce and get sort of 25–30% off, and sometimes even 50% if it's been sitting around a while. So it's a great way to start your collecting. The danger of doing it this way is, of course, you can have a very higgledy-piggledy collection at first in terms of not a massive amount of themes, because you're striking when the bargains are out there. But if you're cool with that, you're cool with that. There's no right way or wrong way. And as people who have been around collecting models for 20 odd years, we have no right to tell anybody how you go about collecting. You collect what you want, when you want, and the type of aircraft you want. It doesn't matter if you've got a World War I aircraft, a P-40 and an F-22 Raptor. It's whatever floats your boat. So don't be constrained by the thought of keeping to themes. You collect what you want. It's lovely to look at other people's collections and see their themes, but just keep collecting and enjoy the hobby. I think that's what really, really important thing. And do it, of course, times are hard now. Post-COVID, I can talk about this in terms of how I built a big collection and it was all lovely, and then actually I fell in very hard times. I've only really started buying again, and I still now look for the bargain. I've got a great collection I'm really happy with, but if I can add different bits to it, I will do it. And my style, as all my friends would say, is very eclectic. I sort of see what I like and buy what I like, but that's my way. So don't feel constrained to do what others do, do what you do. So we're going to go into the final one in a minute, which is my real bargain of the day. But it shows you again what is out there. So the final brand is, of course, my favourite brand and the brand that got me into this hobby itself, and that's, of course, Corgi. So just for those who don't know, the reason I got into this hobby is that we used to have a model shop called Model Zone in the UK. And Model Zone had retail outlets in pretty much every shopping centre over the country, and a massive head office shop in Holborn in central London. And I worked in central London at the time, so I was always in and out there. But that was during what we called the dumping days, and during those dumping days we had loads of Corgi, Hobbymaster, and a brand called Franklin Mint, who don't really make any aircraft anymore. And they were 148 aircraft like Dakotas, B-17s, Spitfires. There was a number of jets like Tornadoes, and they're worth an absolute fortune now. But during them days they were selling them at like £30 a go. So my very first model was a 132 Corgi P51, and I paid £29.99 for it. And my second model was a 132 Mosquito in D-Day stripes, the PRU scheme, for £30. And that's what got me into it. So I started in the big boys and then realised that the big boys take an awful lot of room. I really needed to go smaller. So that's the reason I got into it. And 1,500 aircraft later, which is not something for the faint-hearted, of course, but it's something I'm very, very proud of. I still look for the bargains. So the very first bargain I'm going to talk about is this beautiful aircraft here. And funny enough, it's one I wish I'd got because it's actually personal to me. So this displayed at RAF Mildenhall in 1991, I believe. And there's a picture of me as a kid, taken by my dad, standing on the steps next to this very aircraft. And I didn't buy it because, I'm not a massive jet guy. But I see this online for £15, and this is the bit which will, and again, everybody's different, but it doesn't really offend me, is that this was unboxed. So of course at £15 unboxed, you are taking a risk of it coming through the post and finding bits broken or snapped off. Thankfully, this one doesn't have the fuel probe, which makes life a little bit easier. There's one less thing to break, but it did only have one of the undercarriage. And this is the other bit that I really want to talk about, is the community that we're in. So over on the Facebook page, I put a message out, said, look, you know, I've just managed to find a Buccaneer, but it's only got one undercarriage. And within 10 minutes of putting that message out on the group, just asking if anybody got some, because I've got a load of spares as well, which I'm happy to trade with people or send to people, because, you know, we need to support each other in this hobby. Within 10 minutes, I had 2 messages, one with a full set and one with just 1 set. And no, I couldn't take the full set, knowing that I'm going to use only half, you know, 1 bit of it. But a guy called Michael Biggs, who's a big collector as well, massive shout out to him. He provided me with a left undercarriage ledge for it, and now it's in place and displayed on my dad's little selection of my mum and dad's. So it shows you for 15 quid, I managed to get a complete model which would retail for £60 plus. Amazing, really, really happy with that. But it's unboxed, so if I do move, which obviously I've got to at some point, it's going to be a little bit tricky boxing them up, but it's a risk you want to take. If you're happy to display them, display it. Pay £15, display it. If you're moving from town to town to town, then it's worth getting it boxed. But even still, you're happy, if you're happy to take the risk at that price, do it. So that brings me on nicely. I'll wheel this slowly out of the way. I'll give you a bit of an underview. I don't know if you can see. There she is. And I'll put the air brake out. I quite like the air brake being out as well. So these two. Now, each of these, this is the new mould Corgi Colin Gray Spitfire. Retails at £60. This is the Hans Joachim Marseille ME109G, which sold out on pre-order. So on eBay, 80, 90, 100, it very rarely pops up. There's 1,000 produced, very, very difficult to find. I paid £30 delivered for both of these. And this will be code free fodder. I'm thinking about putting it into the Suffolk Spitfire guys, but I'm not entirely sure yet which one I'm going to do. But this is one I've wanted for my collection for a while. And again, we talk about the faults with it. It has no down undercarriage, but Corgi provides spares. So you can drop an email to Corgi and see if they can provide some for both of them. I probably will do, and I'll take a chance. And if they've got them, fantastic. If they haven't, I'll just sort of switch it with another ME109 and use the undercarriage on that, or just swap it around or display it on its stand. And again, this is each to their own. Yes, there's no boxes. Yes, there's no limited edition certificates, but it's how much you want it within your collection. This here is a classic, absolute classic. His aircraft has been made in the E mould by Corgi, the F mould by Gemini with the red rudder, and now obviously the G mould. So again, you talk about themes, you want all 3 of that pilot. It's a fantastic little theme to set up on your shelf. But also, this is so hard to find. So at £15 equivalent, it was a fantastic bargain. I've got it for a 1/6 of the price potentially, and I'm happy to display it. I'll box it up in a plastic box to make sure it's saved, or I'll swap it with another one and put it in a box. I'm not fussed about it, but if you're building a collection, these are the things you need to look at. And I'm probably giving away my secrets here. So eBay, make sure you save a number of different save searches, something you might just be looking at. And you know, you will get the equivalent of about 50 emails today, a day, which you will need to swipe and put into the junk box, or you can put it into junk so it goes out. But the great way of doing that is that your save searches are instantly searched on the app. So as soon as you open it up, and just click on it, and everything new will come on there. And you know, the other thing as well, talking about the community, you know, befriend people within it, because the amount of times I've bought aircraft that somebody's dropped me a message and gone, Mark, I know you really want this. It's just come up on eBay. So I'll use, for example, this particular aircraft in the Gemini form, the Colin Gray Spitfire, was the one I hadn't got. And Jason Vincent dropped me an email at 6 o'clock one morning, because he's a groundsman for a golf club. And he dropped me an email and he said, Mark, it's come up, go on, get it. And it's about 30 quid, always retailing for £100 plus. And I got it and added it to my collection. And I was incredibly over the moon about it. So utilise your friend group as well, and share the wealth. Don't tuck people up. Don't buy stuff and then sell it on for a massive profit, because it's not really helping people. If you get something at the right price and you've got people you know want it, just do them a favour. Be nice. Because I've seen also that within the community where people have tucked people up big time. So there was examples around a few years back around the Kent Spitfire, which was made by Gemini, where people were deliberately buying it cheap and selling it on at massively inflated prices. Of course, if it's in your collection, you whack it on eBay and you whack it on an auction and it goes for that, fantastic. But try and help each other out, because sometimes moving collections around is a great way of rotating your collection. You might be sticking it in a box in a shed and it's not doing any good. You know, I look at my friendship group, you know, I look at Jason, I look at Gary, I look at Dan. You know, we try and help each other out, and I think that's really, really important that we do that within this hobby, because it is a tough hobby to get into when people have less disposable income to use, and it's something that, you know, if we lose one of the major manufacturers, could, you know, well be the demise of the hobby. And especially with prices now retailing at, you know, after the corgi price rises, you know, a small fighter like these will be retailing at 65 or 70 quid soon. If not already. Some of the molds are, some of the molds aren't. So that's why it's important that, I guess, to get new people in, we can't start at that price. We need to make sure that we are, you know, being sensible about how you use your money. And of course, if you're a kid who just started work and you're on basic living wage, your disposable income is at a minimum already, especially when you go out with your mates, or you want to go and watch football, or you want to go to the pub. You know, life's still got to go on, right? Because these are, dare I say it, big boys toys, big boys and girls toys, sorry, be inclusive. So, you know, it's a difficult hobby to get into. But so basically my top 3 tips: use eBay, use your safe searches, use Facebook Marketplace. Again, save your searches there. And the third one for me is just look at each other. Now that's why we've set up the Diecast Aviation Marketplace. It was a way of people within the hobby of actually selling it for no fees and working together, and, you know, actually not pricing each other out. And there's some great people within our hobby, and I'm sure you've met a few of them on the Wings monthly chats, and they are great people, and let's all stick together and make sure this hobby has got a prosperous future. Right, the final bit for me. So we've got Wings monthly in the first week of November. Yet I've asked a very special guest if he can come on. I've not got a reply yet, so fingers crossed. But I know Dwayne is doing lots of my work for me and running around trying to get veterans and different people within the industry. Again, just a massive shout out to Joshua Kobo Gunderson, the F-22 Raptor display pilot. What an absolute privilege that was to have him on Wings Monthly last month. If you haven't watched the video, it's saved on Instagram and YouTube, please do. But also on the 1st of November, we've got a very, very exciting announcement, which I'm proud to be supporting. So please make sure you tune into that. I'll add the links on both Instagram and Facebook. I can't say any more about it for the moment, but I'm really proud to be supporting it. So let's see, it could be a little bit of a game changer actually in the diecast hobby. So please make sure you tune in for that. As always, feedback is always welcome. So if there's things you want to see, please let me know. Do you want to see more video reviews of the actual aircraft? Do you want to see more chats? Do you want to see different things, different pictorial views, which will all be uploaded over the coming week of all the aircraft that are pictured in this video? Please let me know. I think that's really, really important. And of course, as always, if anybody really does fancy showing their face on Wings Monthly, or want to chat about a certain thing, just drop us a DM or put something in the comments of this video. I'm more happy to consider it. The more content we have, the more things we can do. Look, that's it from me. I won't mention West Ham's catastrophic loss yesterday, which was a complete and utter embarrassment. Although I just have technically. But my little boys' team got a point today, and Dagenham won 4-0 yesterday. So it wasn't all doom and gloom. Right. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this little video. Like I said, any comments you want to put in the comments, both on YouTube and Instagram, please do. Of course, it's all very welcome. Hope you have a great working week. I need to get to bed via the shower because I'm in nice and early tomorrow. But hope you enjoy your week, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.